Hello to ya from London. This is Agnes, and this is a How to Get a Specific Ex Back story from Amber. And it is going to replace the one I've duplicated by mistake, the number 3 one. So I will delete that and I will put this one in as a replacement. Okay? So it goes like this. Hi, and yes, I'm so happy and grateful to be sharing my story with you. Grab some water or tea because it's a long story from where we started. I met my specific person, Bruce, we will call him, at the gym 6 years ago when a friend invited me to go work out with her. I knew nothing about the law of attraction, but I realized I had attracted him at the perfect time in my life. I was single, 24, and feeling open to someone who could treat me better than I ever dreamed. I wanted to meet a businessman, preferably Spanish. I wanted someone who would challenge me and give me a love like only the movies can make us fantasize about: passion, romance, and a family. When I came to the gym with my friend from work, we saw a Spanish man running backwards on the treadmill. He was trying to get our attention, and my friend did not like him. He was a personal trainer and spoke to us and made me laugh. I didn't think anything of it at first, but the next day when I went to the gym, he was there and my friend didn't come this time. He saw me and we started talking more and we locked eyes, and that was it. I knew something happened. I realized our souls were meeting and I felt a deep connection when I stared into his eyes. He immediately asked me for my phone number and gave me a bracelet his cousin made him in Mexico. He said he could tell I was an honest person when he looked into my eyes and wanted me to have it. I am wearing it now as I type this. At first I was unsure about him being a personal trainer, wondering if he was just some player. My friend mentioned that, but somehow I knew he only had eyes for me. He also asked me to be his running partner because he was starting a running club at the gym. We began running together, and after the second run he kissed me. He had a girlfriend and I stopped him and said it wasn't right to do that. The next day he broke up with her. He said he wanted me only. I was hesitant to trust him at first, but he proved himself quickly. 3 days after we met, he invited me to his apartment, and it was as if I was with my best friend all the time. We officially got together in June 2012. We kissed, laughed. We were with each other constantly. He introduced me to his family and his business, which I found so sweet. He let everyone know I was his, and he was so proud of our relationship. We moved in together within a month, and he told me I was his queen. We fell in love, and it was disgusting, honestly, how much we showed off our relationship and how happy we were. A year into our relationship, I became pregnant. We were officially a family. We had a career. We were building together with his business, and we were like Zorro and his lady back to back, ready to take on the world. And now we had a little girl coming. Phoebe added more love and joy to our family. We were so happy and in love. Our future looked bright. It was his second daughter since he was married before at 19 and wasn't ready for a baby or a marriage. Me and his ex-wife got along amazingly, and I loved his daughter like my own. His daughter was about 4 at the time. Bruce also was my mentor and coach in business and helped me read many books and listen to many self-improvement audios, and we attended many seminars together, growing our network marketing business together. It was the king and queen side by side forever. It seemed like it was a dream come true until I started noticing all the things he was doing wrong in the relationship. Becoming a mother was beautiful, but it was also stressful in our relationship, and I never felt happy enough about any help Bruce would give me with our baby or his other daughter. Honestly, when I look back now, I was being a spoiled brat, and I drove him away with my constant nagging and complaining and negative thoughts. But at the time, I still didn't know any better. We were always financially strapped, and after about 3 years of investing in our business, I really was not happy about having no money and constantly working, and him never being able to keep a job outside of his business. We argued more, and I realized I made him play this role of not treating me right and being a bad boyfriend. I decided to end it once we had a big argument in Mexico. I didn't want our family to split up, but I made things worse by talking to my friends and family about all the things he was doing wrong. I also complained to our mentors in business and was always pointing the finger at him. I still had no idea about conscious creating at all. He agreed to break up. That was late June 2015. A couple of days later, I packed all his things and we moved out of our apartment. Phoebe was almost 2 at the time. My mother had just passed away, having had cancer, and I was in a low place. I was angry, resentful, and sad. Bruce's ex-wife messaged me asking how we were doing and if we could set up a play date with the girls, her daughter and mine. And when I told her we split up, she wanted to talk about Bruce and all the things he did wrong to her as well. 2 disgruntled women complaining about one man who did them wrong. It painted a very negative image in my head of him quickly, and things became worse and worse. His ex-wife made him out to be this player and a bad dad and a horrible boyfriend. I was so heartbroken over Bruce and realized how much I missed and loved him, even though things weren't going right. I became so worked up about him. I was crying constantly, asking him to get back together. I did everything wrong towards him when you were trying to get back together, and pushed him further and further away. One of my best friends called me saying she saw him out with another girl only 2 weeks after we had broken up. I was at work crying and devastated. I cried asking, why didn't he love me anymore? And he said he didn't know why. I was so angry and sad. I thought I was going to die from the heartbreak I felt. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I looked for other men to give me attention and felt very emotionally empty feeling when I tried to move on. I knew Bruce was the one and I didn't know how to get him back, but I was going to try. I searched the internet frantically and couldn't find anything that worked. I found some techniques, but no contact and things like that. But we had Phoebe together and I couldn't just cut him out of my life. Bruce and I slept together a few times in between our breakup, but every time I would ask about getting back together, he would always say no. Worst of all, we all slept together once and he ended up having another girlfriend a couple of days later, and I was again devastated. We would argue about our daughter a lot, and he always feared I would take her away from him. I would always argue about him seeing other girls and lying to me. Eventually our fights became so bad he blocked me from all social media, and at one point I blocked his number as well. It was not a good time for us. We would have to talk to my dad about exchanges with Phoebe. Eventually his ex-wife stopped talking to Bruce completely. We had so much drama and negativity around our relationship. I decided this was no longer healthy and I couldn't keep trying to love someone who didn't want me anymore. I decided to move on from him as best I could, but no matter how hard I tried to be with someone else, I always ended up feeling Bruce in my heart. I knew I still loved him deeply. I knew he loved me too, which is why I couldn't understand why he didn't want to give us a second chance. During our breakup, it was about 3 years we had been separated. I ended up meeting a guy who seemed like he would treat me right and be there for me. We started dating and it was as if Bruce knew, because he was always starting to worry about me finding someone new, and he would text me about it off and on. This new guy definitely gave me a lot of attention and affection. He became my boyfriend, however. It was a very unhealthy relationship. My new boyfriend was obsessed with me and stalking me on social media. I now know it's because of how sad and heartbroken I was over Bruce, and I attracted a jealous, insecure, angry person. That new boyfriend and I did not last long. He became jealous over Bruce constantly and told me that Bruce was still in love with me. Both of them would fight over me from time to time, which I found funny. After several months of dating, I decided to break up with the new guy. Soon after, I was late on my period and I became pregnant. I was shocked and sad. I didn't want to have a baby with this man. He was not Bruce, and I was very embarrassed and scared what Bruce would say when he found out I was pregnant with another man's baby, who ended up leaving the picture once he found out I was having twins. Twin boys. Surprise. Well, everyone is you pushed out, and God has a funny sense of humor, because shortly after Bruce had also gotten another girl pregnant, he also only dated a couple of months and didn't tell anyone either, because he was embarrassed as well. Lucky for him, he kept the baby a secret, where I couldn't with my big belly. I found out about him having another baby with another woman he barely knew, and in the worst way possible, through checking social media. It's true what Dan and you say, and yes, don't go lurking on social media unless you want to find something you don't want to see. Even though I felt betrayed and lied to, and Bruce kept this baby a secret, I knew it was happening for a reason. So we both became pregnant and babies unexpectedly. It's true that everyone is you pushed out, And everyone is a mirror in your life. At that time, I knew I was feeling betrayed, abandoned, and alone. My outer world was just reflecting that. I blocked Bruce's number when I found out about him having a third baby mama after a very bad argument between us again. We didn't speak for a couple of weeks. After I had the twin boys, one of my sons did not make it shortly after the birth due to the lack of oxygen. After he passed, I was asking God, why is my life turning out this way? I am a Christian. I couldn't understand why so many negative experiences and things were happening to me, especially with Bruce. Bruce came to the hospital that day and hugged me and I cried. He told me he was proud of me as a mother and he told me he loved me. I felt the love between us. I realized this man was there for me. He bought me a van for the kids and surprised me at the hospital with it. After things cooled down between us, I decided to make amends with him and meet his other baby mama. I felt no jealousy towards her because I knew she wasn't in Bruce's life in the way that I was. Even after all the fights and everything that had happened, I knew I still loved him. Bruce took my son in his own and claimed him as his. They both love each other so much. I prayed for God to really help me heal our relationship as a family. And at one point, I asked God to take my feelings away from Bruce because I didn't want to miss him or love him anymore. My prayer was answered the next day at 3 a.m. when I woke up and had a sudden urge to watch The Secret. I watched that movie 12 times in a row, over and over, day after day. I searched frantically on YouTube about how to get your ex back and I found Veronica Isles. I did her 25-day challenge and immediately felt a lot better about things between me and Bruce and coming together. I started doing her meditations from the book and eventually I found you, Agnes. Things started getting better between us and I noticed how many success stories you had and dived into your YouTube channel deeper and deeper. I read everything I could get my hands on. When I started listening to you, I found Louise Hay, Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and my favorite amongst all of these amazing teachers, Neville Goddard. I am a Christian and I read the Bible more as well, and Neville made me realize so many incredible things about creation. I worked hard at self-discipline and not reacting, but instead sweeping my side of the street. I started doing Ho'oponopono prayer and I would cry when I thought of Bruce. I couldn't believe I created this. When I watched the Everyone Is You Pushed Out playlist, I decided to email you about questions I had. I was confused about this concept until I studied it more and received so much needed coaching from you, Agnes. I watched the success stories like Shiva 7, David, Jacqueline and Gabi. I joined a group, Me Chat, that had some law of attraction friends in it to help raise spirits amongst us. I joined a law of attraction Facebook group and became close with a law of attraction friend who keeps me on track about keeping the right attitude and speaking things into existence and living from the end. You could say, we tell each other what needs to be said when we are being needy or speaking from lack. I highly recommend connecting to a friend who can help keep you in check when you need it. When I first emailed you, it hurt me to hear what I was doing wrong, and I blamed Bruce and not being grateful for what he was giving me. I started looking at the glass half full and noticed how Bruce would text me more and more. I listened to many of your interviews with Dan Radio Style, whom I love, by the way. We all love you and Dan. Yes, I love Dan too. I keep thanking God for the little things Bruce was doing. I thanked God when he would share his feelings or thoughts with me. I would start seeing texts from him at 3 a.m. and he would text off and on throughout the night. I was staying at my dad's with the kids while all of this was going on. As I continued my coaching with you, Agnes, I started seeing more and more changes. I became excited and started doing self-love like crazy. I had to learn to be open-handed and stop trying to strangle a commitment out of Bruce and stop trying to suck the love out of him. That wasn't real love. And it was hard for me to resist my temptation to ask where the heck this was going, especially when I started seeing major changes. I said affirmations hundreds of times a day. I downloaded a counter app to keep track of how many affirmations I was saying. I would say them over and over, even when I didn't believe them to be true. Isn't it wonderful how connected my SP is to me? I love how amazing and easy our relationship is. I let go. Excuse me. And surrender. I love myself. I am the queen to his king. I started visualizing and doing the whispering technique. I started forgiving myself and Bruce. I prayed for God to give me strength while I was low. I cried many times when I felt like nothing was working and sometimes nothing was happening on the surface, but I had faith God could help me do this and help me move mountains and not let my outside world influence my goal. I was patient and persistent. I did not let my emotions get out of control around Bruce. When I did, like something he said or I did, I would revise or ho'oponopono even when I didn't want to. I made sure I told myself yes more to pleasing things that made me smile. The other baby mama ended up marrying a man and moving away, which was great because I sent her off with love and light and she ended up doing just that. I focused on me more after that. I took up salsa class. I went to the gym more. I bought myself some new clothes. I told myself I was beautiful in the mirror. I thank God for my health. Thank God for my children's health. I repeated, I love myself in the shower over and over again. I started doing it in the middle of the night when I went to use the bathroom half asleep. I used a gratitude rock, which was easy because my daughter had a rock collection. I only saw small, subtle changes with Bruce at first, but as our relationship started getting better and better, he offered me a job with his business. Whenever I fell off my feeling good vibes, I would take a step back, take deep breaths, and look inward in myself instead of at Bruce. I took full responsibility and I felt a true sense of freedom. I fell down many times mentally, but kept going anyway. Lack of evidence was not evidence of lack. I kept telling myself this over and over when there were silent moments where I didn't hear from him. This took several months of self-maintenance from the time I started getting coaching from you, Agnes. I started visualizing me and Bruce laying in his bed together with our kids night after night. After night, I listened to Neville while I slept. I read his books and success stories on the secret website whenever I felt lost or confused. I watched all your success stories and I did my best to really study what you were saying and what others were saying on your channel. A few nights later, Bruce asked me and the kids to stay the night. I was shocked. He said he wanted us to stay and I had to make sure he meant what he said. Eventually, we started staying there night after night after night. We started planning trips together. We started staying up late together. I was nervous at first, but then we started waiting for the kids to fall asleep to stay up and watch movies and talk and smoke and chat about life. Sometimes we would sit in silence and I would say in my head, I love myself and I love him too. I let go and I surrender over and over and over. I felt like we were best friends all over again and we used to say that to each other all the time. He truly is and was my best friend, and I realized in those moments we spent together how he showed me he loved me by spending all his free time with us. He started buying me gifts and some of them were expensive. Tiffany glasses, Apple earbuds, surprising me with more hugs and gifts and candies, handmade sweaters from Mexico, coffee mugs from different counties he had been to. He kept showing me his love for me in ways I didn't realize. I highly recommend anyone to read the 5 love languages. Yes, because it reminded me that he shows his love differently to what I do. I will put the 5 love languages down below. It is an audio on YouTube and it is fantastic. And the interview I did with Jay Williams, he actually talks about it within the interview about the different loves. So I'll put that interview down below too. My main love language is physical affection, and at times I felt so unloved when he wouldn't hug me, but instead of focusing on the negatives, I remind myself, look at what he is doing to show you love. I thank God for all the times we were spending together. It had been years since we were hugging or been affectionate at all to each other. I kept looking at the glass half full and forcing myself not to go back to my negative habitual thinking. This can be hard when there has been years of conflict with someone you love, but Ho'oponopono works wonders. Also, scripting and keeping a gratitude journal is so helpful. We took another trip after Disney World to Universal Studios down here in Florida. I felt the connection between us growing. I kept thanking God, but we were being physically intimate before it happened over and over for 2 or 3 days straight. I figured giving thanks beforehand would help accelerate the manifestation, and being affectionate was bound to happen, so I prepared myself. I said affirmations out loud, and I said it from a loving place. I wanted to send Bruce unconditional love as much as I could. Firstly, when I started doing your physical affection meditations, I felt better and kept visualizing these hugs Bruce would give me. Then one night he texted me, he said he wanted to be affectionate with me as he was on his way home from work. I was laying in his bed while the kids were asleep, and I quickly jumped up and got ready to see him. I did a little pre-paving beforehand, and I am pleased to say we've been physical more than 4 times. After we made love, I ran to the bathroom and jumped for joy and shouted to the universe, "Thank you! Thank you, God." I looked at myself in the mirror and I said thank you to myself. He asked me if I wanted more children. I said yes, and so did he. We do want more children, but we want to travel with the kids more, and I think this is the start of a beautiful beginning. It's been over a month, and we've been at his house every night. Our stuff is in his place and shower. We have toothbrushes there, and we are kissing and hugging and being intimate again. When we made love for the first time, it was incredible. He kissed me like he hadn't seen me in years, and to be honest, he hadn't seen me in years. I was not myself, and I had lost my way. We are now not official yet, but I know where things are headed. I understand it's going to take time to rebuild our trust. Bruce says he really loves what's happening between us. I thank God for your channel, Agnes, and I thank God for everything that's happened. I lost myself only to rediscover what real unconditional love really is, and loving myself completely. The journey has been amazing, and I cannot thank you enough. You have helped me reunite my beautiful family. We booked a trip to Colorado in January, and we can't wait to send you pictures. He wants us to spend Christmas together, and he's always using words like we and us, and always asking what I think and what our plans are. He asked what my goals are, and he told me his. Thank you, Agnes. You are an angel, and your channel is a blessing. Please let the viewers know that this is worth it. All the tears and struggles and twists and turns. Love yourself first. Self-love is so key. It may sound repeated over and over, but there is a reason. I still have some tweaking to do with us when it comes to trust and rebuilding the love we have for each other, but I understand he is me pushed out, and I notice the more self-love I do, the better everything in my life is becoming. I know as I let go and let things unfold, everything will happen naturally and beautifully. My finances are improving, and Bruce plans to move into a new place in the spring. I'm visualizing him asking us to move in with him. He's already asked me to help him pick out the carpet for his place now, and I'm happy to say we've come a long way. I love him and he loves me, and we're getting better and better daily. I look forward to our interview live, Agnes, and I love what's happened. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Amber. And I am interviewing Amber tomorrow, and can't wait to hear this live. It's going to be fantastic, and I know many of you are going to be looking forward to that interview. So I will upload Amber's interview live. Well, not live, it won't be live when I upload it, but I will be interviewing her live tomorrow and then uploading it. Now, I want to mention 2 things. Anything I discussed in this story of Amber's, I will put the links down below to what she mentioned. I also want to say thank you to a viewer that has kindly done a focus wheel template, and she has offered it to you so that you can download it, print it out, and then use it. It's an empty focus wheel, and it is there for the viewers, given by this lovely viewer, and I'm going to put her name down below. Also, there is a wonderful, inspiring woman of 63 years young that has the most amazing energy, zest for life, freedom and enjoyment that I've seen for a long time. Incredible to watch this. It is not about how old you are, it is about how you feel, and this woman is fantastic, and I'd love to share it with you, so I'll put that down below too. So lots of love, everyone, lots of stuff for you there today, and I will see you in the next YouTube.